Unfortunately, one of our audience members was called into work last minute, so we have Madison, if you want to give a wave. We unfortunately have someone here via technology. Go ahead and hold that, Mom. And then hold it. Oh, guess not. Hi everyone, my name is Annie, and today I'm going to be discussing how I came to the conclusion I wanted to be a teacher, even though I didn't see that in myself for so long. So growing up, I knew I wanted two things for my future. After my ballerina phase, I knew I wanted to go to college because it's kind of just what you did in my family, and I wanted to make a lot of money. So in high school, I kind of went through phases of intense interest in certain careers, starting off with psychiatry. My freshman year, I really wanted to be a counselor or a psychiatrist. Everyone in my family knew, cousins, aunts, uncles, it was all I would talk about. And then I realized I probably don't have the listening skills or the patience for that. The next phase I went into was I wanted to be a doctor. I knew I loved watching medical documentaries, I loved Grey's Anatomy. I'd even watch open heart surgery on YouTube because I didn't really get grossed out by anything in the human body. Until I started taking some math and science classes, which I realized repulsed me a lot more than blood and broken bones. I went through a quick phase about maybe doing nursing, which I realized has about the same amount of schooling and training with a lot less financial gain. So when I started going to college, I knew both my parents did business, I had an outgoing personality, so I was going to do business. I really tried to convince myself I loved my classes when I knew I didn't, and it took long talks with my friends at night talking about if I had my dream job I'd be a teacher. I just didn't see that as possible. And then I started to think maybe it was. So once I kind of came to the conclusion that maybe I should follow what I actually want to do, I started to think about what I might want to teach. I knew I loved theology, political science, and history. I was going to Washington State University, so studying religion wasn't necessarily a feasible outcome. And when I went onto WSU's admissions website under their academics tab, you can look up all their majors. I found that history with a specialization in teaching was something offered there. So I knew that that part of my path was locked in. After that, this is a very important step, but often looked over. If I liked kids, was that an option I should take? We all knew that teacher in high school we thought hated us just because of the fact that we were kids. So what I did in order to realize this was I taught a marine biology summer camp, I coach a middle school gymnastics team, and I'm also a retreat leader for high school and middle school students alike. And while these are all very different and rewarding experiences, it helped me to see high school is probably the best bet for me, along with the content I would be teaching. So at this point, I knew I wanted to teach high school. I knew what I wanted to teach, and now I had to look at what education path I needed to follow. So in order to become a teacher, you first have to get an undergrad. In order to teach for high school, you have to get your major in the subject you want to teach. So for me, that'd be history. That differs from elementary ed, who just study education, and everybody gets certified for middle school in between. So I knew what I had to major in, and the next step is certification. In order to be a teacher at WSU, you actually get certified through your program. But for an example, if I moved to Oregon, the test I would take for certification, I would need to redo because every state has different needs and certifications. After that, many teachers, for example, my sister who's going into English teaching, go on to get a master's degree. That's something that's actually required in some states and in many schools, and can also add to your pay, and is great for your resume. Speaking of pay, in Washington State, there's very diverse numbers in that. The average mid-career salary for a teacher in the Kent School District, for example, is $54,000 according to the Seattle Times. Throughout Washington, Mukilteo pays the most and Spokane the least on average, in a bank of about 20 school districts crossing both eastern and western Washington. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about the daily life of a teacher. While there are many pros and cons, one pro being the benefits, you actually get health covered, dental, life insurance, as well as accident protection. You have set up retirement funds and other options as a teacher. More information about this can be found at teachwa.org. There are other drawbacks, including the fact that many people assume teachers get endless breaks. They think you're done with work at 3 o'clock and you have summer and you have breaks off. But if you do a little bit of quick math, you come to the realization that teachers have many classes and hundreds of students across them, all who probably have individual needs and different things that they need taken attention to. And so teachers really never stop working. They're working tireless hours, they get up so early in the morning, and they're very much underappreciated. Another drawback to teaching is that for many teachers across all age groups, they have to supplement their classrooms from their own income because certain items are not funded by the state or the schools they teach for. So while there are these drawbacks, I know that teaching is what's right for me because it's something I'm so passionate about. I knew it was what I always wanted to do, I just never saw that as an option until I really got into it. I hope that today maybe you've been spawned or inspired to maybe pursue teaching, and if not, I hope you learn to realize a little bit more about why teachers are such great people and how they're raising the future generation. Thank you guys so much for listening today.